here is a fish trader. Just like Breath of Fire 3, if you have fish, these Manillos have items for you. However, unlike Breath of Fire 3, it is way less useful. There are a few exceptions to that, namely the Ferengi right there. The Ferengi is really worth getting once you are able to catch all of those fish. It's a weapon that both Ryu and Sias can use, and honestly, it's their most powerful weapon unless you're going to go for the incredibly rare drops that I probably am not going to go for due to the fact that the way the drop system and the steal system works in this game, it is sadistic and mean, and I hate it, honestly. So I will probably get Ryu's, what I consider to be Ryu's ultimate weapon, just because you actually can get it through the course of the game. It's fairly easy to get. But Sias' ultimate weapon I will not be getting. Sias actually has two comparable ultimate weapons. One of them can be potentially more powerful than the other one, and it's actually sold at the fish merchants, and I'll talk about it in a second. The other item that's worth it here is the flail. It is Cray's only two-hit weapon. I might get the flail, but for the most part I don't. The flail is kind of iffy. Like, say, unlike the Ferengis, unlike Sias and Ryu's two-hit weapons, the power difference between the flail and Cray's super powerful weapons. Cray's weapons get stupidly powerful. I think his most powerful weapon is 145 attack power. See, once you're pushing that much attack power, it becomes questionable about whether a two-hit weapon is more useful. So I typically don't bother fishing for the flail because you can get the nunchaka pretty easy. Let's see. The main problem I have with fishing in this game, and I will lay it out for you, is, I have a couple of problems. One, it's a lot harder. The thing I loved about Breath of Fire 3's fishing was it was simple and fun. In this game, they made it a lot more in-depth, which is fine, but the fishing in this game is a lot more luck. But it is luck-based and it isn't. You got to know where to fish for. The fish, they swim in certain areas, but at the same time, you can't see, okay, like in Breath of Fire 3, you could see that, okay, that is a squid, that is a bass, that is a piranha. You know, you can't judge the fish by their size. You basically can't see them until you snag them or they get really close to the surface, and they'll appear for a split second. And it makes looking for certain fish a pain in the butt. I'm just going to say that right now. I need to talk about stamps too, so I'll stay in here. Another thing that bothers me about the fishing is the camera angles, honestly, in the game. I don't know. I honestly just don't enjoy fishing as much in this game as I did in Breath of Fire 3. Another thing is that in Breath of Fire 3, the Manila merchants were more useful. In this game, the rewards are so spread out. They didn't... I don't know. It's like they took a big list of items, stuffed it in a shotgun, and shot it at a map of the game and said, alright, that's what the... there doesn't seem to be so much rhyme or reason as to the spreading out of the Manillos and what they carry. In Breath of Fire 3, when a Manila merchant was nearby, you could... He was a lot more useful. For example, in the McNeil Manila had the silver knives and other things like that. You could kit yourself out with stuff that wasn't super powerful, but was of a better... You had an advantage, but it wasn't such a great advantage that you were, just gimping yourself by not fishing. You could choose not to fish if you didn't want to. And in fact, I did not fish mostly. I fished a few times, especially in the early game, especially in the childhood, but, like, you know, you don't have to fish in Breath of Fire 3 if you don't want to get the most powerful stuff. I mean, it really only gives you a bonus for a little while, and that's fine. And if you wanted to do the extra effort, you got, you know, an upgrade ahead. You were not like, you know. And another thing is that the fish for the items that the Manillo carried were almost always near the Manillo. In this game, that is not the case. These fish that are required to buy this stuff are spread out all across the game. And, yeah. Another thing that I want to talk about is the stamps. Oh my gosh. Each item is worth a number of stamps. You get 25 stamps, you get a stamp card. You trade the cards in for items. So for 3 stamp cards, you can get one of these stat boosting items. Another thing that bothers me about this is they don't actually have all the stat boosting items. It's like, okay, they have the magic shards, but they don't have the magic. They don't have they don't have the proteins or the life shards, but they have the other 4. It's like, why? Why would you do that? This stuff right here, 25 stamp cards is really not that unreasonable, I don't think. 50 is seriously pushing it. I could see getting 50 stamp cards if I just, you know, really wanted a dragon tier and not be totally put out by it. But 75 and 99 stamp cards, that is way too many stamp cards. To get a render, that's about 20 hours of extra fishing. And by the way, the render's really not even that great. It's a 2-hit weapon. It does have some hidden stats on it, but the main drawback for it is the water attack. It is a Sias-only weapon, by the way. It does have the potential to be, on paper, the most powerful weapon, but it's, like I said, the water attack. A lot of the enemies, the bosses at the very end of the game, are resistant to water. And it just doesn't do as much damage as its actual stats would indicate. For example, it says it has 50 power, and it will always say it has 50 power, but for every 20 battles you fight, it actually gets a +1 hidden attack power. So, by the end of the game, you will usually have about 700 or so battles. You might have between 700 and 1,000 battles. 700 battles will get you an extra 35 attack power, okay? Meaning you'll have a sword with 85 attack power and water elemental. Sias's next most powerful 2-hit sword is, I think, the Slicer. I want to say it's the Slicer. It has an attack power of 78. And it's a rare drop from an enemy in the final dungeon. Okay, if you look at me and say, you have a choice between fishing for 20 hours or fighting enemies until you get a lucky drop, I will, and if I have to do it, first thing I'll look at you and say is, do I have to? Can I just go with the next strongest weapon? That seems like an awful lot of work for very little reward. But if I have to do it, I would go with the enemy fighting method due to the fact that, depending on my luck, I actually may end up spending about the same amount of time anyway. But I'm fighting enemies and getting stronger. I'm not just fishing. And by the way, the most, in case you're wondering, that Manila merchant right there sells those bell collars and, what is the other one? Holy mantles. Those are actually, point for point, fish for fish. I want to say that those are actually the most, the fastest, most giving of stamp item you can actually buy per fish spent. I want to say that each one of those will actually give you 30 stamps. So for every 6 you buy, you get an extra stamp card. Every 5 you buy, you get an extra stamp card. Oh, so this is what they do with that. But anyway, that's my thoughts on fishing, and like I said, I'm going to fish some, and I'll demonstrate it at some point, but I'm not going to be getting the render or That can't be true. Invisible animals? That makes no sense. Oh, okay. Well, let's go see Cray. That dude has an incredibly square jaw. Oh my god. So square. You should be the hero of this game. Your jaw is that square. That dude has an epic mustache. He should be the sidekick. Actually, this guard right here, he can be the mentor, and the dude out here, he can be the hero. But anyway. No visitors! Oh, that dude doesn't look completely shady at all. Is it just me, or does he look like he has, like, 2 hooks for hands? Like, the way his hands are curled? Yeah, he's the leader of an entire nation, and you're gonna hold him captive and, like, put him on trial. Yeah, that totally won't start a war with the Warren. A bunch of hot-headed, like, muscles for brains, meatheads who constantly like to fight. Yeah, that's gonna end well. I think he might be in like an otter guy of some kind. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. He has a tail. Sias is, of course, a grass runner. Actually, same kind of grass runner that same kind of grass runner I do believe that Bo is, or Bosch, depending on what version of Breath of Fire 2 you're playing. Okay. Sounds like a plan. No, they didn't, did they? Anyway, we're probably about to see Sias in some action. I actually think there is a fishing point outside. Oh, wait. I forgot to show you this. There is a merchant in this building here. He complains about there being no inn. I don't think he sells anything good. In fact, I think he sells the same stuff as in they sell in Shide. Actually, no, they don't. They do sell the cuirasses in Shide and the face guards. Although, don't buy the face guards. If you want something that's, like that, go to Shide and they sell combat boots that have 9 defense. You get 1 more defense. It's only a little more. You can buy the reed baton if you want. I typically stay with the wisdom rod or whatever it's called. Whatever she has on now. Although it does make her really, really useless for physical attacks, doesn't it? But anyway, don't buy the cat's bogger. I actually don't even have enough for that. Where's my moon sword? Tap power 28. Yeah, cat's bogger's better. But at the same time, I don't need it. I have a Scremisax. Time to exit. I do believe there is a fishing point hidden somewhere up in here. It might be. I want to say it's right. That second. Not there, but there. See if I can get him to stop there. It's either there or there. That, yeah. And I can't get him to stop there, so it doesn't matter. I could be wrong. I'd have to look at my map to see exactly where to go. I'm not worried about it right now. I'm probably not going to go fishing for a while. At least not until we get all of our party members. Anyway, we have a new enemy here, the Nut Troops. The Nut Troops... Let's see. We want to... No, you know what? We'll leave both of them alive. Just like Breath of Fire 3, Nut Troops know Double Blow. Although they don't typically use it. They'll typically only use it every other turn. Thank you, Urshin, for doing that. Ugh. Oh well. I wanted to leave both of them alive so I can have that... Oh well, that was relatively quick, wasn't it? Double Blow actually doesn't work very well with the 2-hit weapons. So the way it works is it gives you... well, you do 2 hits, but the way the 2-hit weapons work is it adds 1 extra attack, so you end up with a total of 3 attacks. So it just kind of turns a Double Blow into a Triple Blow. Just like Breath of Fire 3, also the Nut Troops have really, really high evasion, so you want to kill them with magic. Thankfully, they don't have a lot of HP.